Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be covering IoT communication APIs. I will explain REST-based API and WebSocket-based communication APIs. And also I will explain enabling technologies in IoT. I will explain these two topics in detail. Guys, I have uploaded complete IoT subject tutorials. I will provide that link in description. You can watch from there. If you are watching this video for the first time, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. Guys, IoT devices and as well as IoT softwares, they will follow some methods in order to communicate between each other. We call those methods as communication APIs. So IoT communication APIs are the methods that devices and applications use to communicate with each other. And these APIs will follow models such as request response model and as well as full duplex communication. Guys, in full duplex communication, multiple devices can send data and receive data at the same time. And these IoT communication APIs are classified into two types. They are REST-based APIs and WebSocket-based APIs. First, I'll explain what is REST-based communication API. Guys, REST stands for Representational State Transfer. By using REST, we can create web-based APIs. And this web-based APIs will work on HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And REST will use request response model. Whenever sender sends request, server will give response to that particular request. These are main features of REST. And the first one is client server. This particular software that client is using in order to communicate with IoT device. We call those software as user interface. Here client is using web-based user interface. So client handles user interface. This is user interface. And whereas server will store and process data. And both are independent. And second one is stateless. Guys, stateless means server cannot maintain information about client. So whenever client send any request to server, along with request, client need to include all required information to server. So for each and every request, client need to include all information like what is its IP address, what is message type, etc. for each and every request because server cannot maintain information about client. Third one is cacheable. Whenever server provide response to client, client will store that response in temporary storage. We call the temporary storage as cache memory. So client need not to ask to server again as data is already stored in cache memory. And fourth one is layered system. Guys, in REST-based API, client will interact through various layers like proxies, gateways, etc. And client need not to know about all these layers. And fifth one is uniform interface. Guys, all resources that are nothing but all sensors will use standard operations. Standard operations mean standard HTTP methods like get, post, put, patch, delete, etc. And also URIs. This makes REST API simple and consistent. And sixth one is code on demand. Guys, server have capability to send executable code to client and server will send executable code to client rarely. All these are features of REST-based communication API. Guys, this is simple request response model used by REST. There is client and there is a server. Client is nothing but mobile app or website. By using that mobile app and website, we can start communication. Server is nothing but IoT device or cloud. For example, client wants temperature data. So client will send HTTP request. For example, in HTTP, client will use get method. By using get method, client can ask data. And there is payload. Payload is nothing but data which is asked by client to server. And this payload is in the form of JSON or XML. So client is asking temperature data to server and server will give response. Response is in the form of JSON or XML. Now server will give response like temperature is 30 degrees. And response is in the form of JSON or XML. This is simple request response model used by REST. Guys, these are four common HTTP methods in REST. Our first one is get method. By using get method, client can ask information to server and whereas server will provide response. And by using post method, client can post new data to server. And by using put method, client can update existing data in server. And by using delete method, client can delete data in server. I'll give examples. First one is get method. For example, by using get method, client is asking temperature to server like get/temperature. And whenever client sends this request, server will give response like temperature 30 in curly braces. This is JSON, that is why we included in curly braces. And similarly, second one is post. By using post method, client can update new values into server. For example, by using post method, client want to update temperature like temperature is 28 degrees. This is JSON script, so including curly braces. So inside curly braces, temperature in quotations colon 28. Whenever client posts this request to server, server will store latest value of temperature. So status saved. By using put method, client can update existing data For example, client want to update temperature settings, that is maximum temperature value is 35 degrees. So put /settings is request by client. In curly braces, maximum temperature is 35. This is JSON script. Whenever client sends this request to server, server will save the settings. So status updated. And similarly, client want to delete temperature value 10. So delete /temperature value 10. Whenever client sends this request to server, server will delete temperature value 10. So status deleted. So get, post, put and delete. These are 4 HTTP methods used in REST. Guys, we'll use REST-based API whenever we want to send simple request in order to get and modify data. And this REST-based API is not suitable for continuous communications. And second communication API is WebSocket-based communication API. Guys, this API is persistent. That is nothing but permanent. And it is full duplex. Guys, full duplex means multiple devices can send and receive data at the same time. So full duplex will allow two-way communication between client and server. Whenever client want to send data to server, client will open connection. And whenever client open connection, this connection will be opened until client closes that connection. This is how WebSocket-based API will work. Whenever client want communication with server, client will send HTTP handshake request in order to upgrade WebSocket. If server is ready, then server will accept this upgrade request. Once server accepted upgrade request, now client and server can communicate each other. This is diagram. Client will send upgrade request in order to establish connection. If server is ready, server will accept that upgrade request. Now client and server can communicate each other by sending data frames. Once all frames are successfully transferred to server, now client can close connection. So client will send close request. If server accepts the close request, connection will be closed. This is diagram of WebSocket protocol. These are advantages of WebSocket. And the first one is low latency. Guys, in this, messages will be transferred very quickly. And it is full duplex. That is nothing but client and server can communicate each other. That is, they can send data at the same time. WebSocket-based communication API is suitable for real-time applications like dashboards, IoT control panels, and also for live sensor monitoring. Guys, we can use WebSocket-based API whenever we want continuous communications, immediate responses, and if client and server want to communicate each other frequently. Next, I will explain enabling technologies in IoT. Guys, by using enabling technologies, IoT will work smoothly. IoT works well because of many technologies that will help devices to collect data and to communicate each other. These are some of the enabling technologies, and the first one is wireless sensor networks. Shortly, we call it as WSN. Guys, there are small sensor devices that can collect information from environment. The sensors have capability to measure things like temperature, humidity, air quality, motion, etc. The sensors, after collecting data, they will send the data to central device, and we call that central device as coordinator, and the device will work by using internet. So we will use wireless sensor networks in weather monitoring, air quality monitoring, soil moisture monitoring, surveillance systems, and smart grids. And we also use them in structural health monitoring of buildings. Guys, wireless sensor networks will use some technologies like Zigbee. By using that Zigbee device, data can be received and transferred quickly, and those devices will consume low power. And these wireless sensor networks have capability to configure themselves in case if some node fails or if you add any new nodes. Second enabling technology is cloud computing. Guys, if you want to store data, then we need to purchase server. So purchasing server is costly and we need maintenance. But instead of purchasing server, IoT devices have capability to store data in cloud, and we can store data in cloud by using internet. So cloud computing provides on-demand computing power, storage, applications over the internet. By using cloud computing, we can store data and we can store various applications in cloud with the help of internet. And how much memory we use in cloud? Only for that we need to pay money. So users pay only for what they use. And cloud computing will provide various kinds of services like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. In infrastructure, cloud will provide hardware and as well as operating system. And whereas in platform as a service, cloud will provide platform so that developers can work on that particular platform. And whereas in software as a service, cloud has capability to provide various kinds of softwares. So IoT contains wireless sensor networks, and IoT has capability to store data in cloud. And third one is big data analytics. Guys, IoT will generate huge amount of data from various kinds of devices. With help of big data analytics, processing, analyzing, and extracting useful information from huge amount of data is very easy. So big data analytics can handle huge amount of data, and it can handle velocity. That is nothing but it can handle fast and continuous data, and it can handle varieties of data like text format, image, videos, etc. These are some of the examples of big data in IoT. The first one is weather sensors, industrial machine sensors, fitness band data, vehicle tracking systems, and as well as retail investing systems. All these are examples of big data in IoT. And fourth one is communication protocols. Guys, protocols are nothing but rules. If one device want to transfer data to other device, then the device need to follow rules. We call those rules as protocols. If IoT device want to exchange data, then they need to follow rules. We call those rules as protocols. So with help of protocols, routing data is possible, and we can also do encoding and decoding of data. And if multiple devices are sending data at the same time, we can handle flow control, and we can also do sequence control. That is nothing but we can send complete data in order. And in case if any data is lost, we have capability to resend data. All these are possible with help of protocols. These are some of the examples of protocols in IoT devices. Now first one is link layer protocol, network layer protocol, transport layer protocol, and application layer protocol. And fifth one is embedded systems. Guys, embedded system is nothing but it is a small computer built inside a device in order to perform certain tasks. These embedded systems contain microprocessors or controllers and memory, network units like Wi-Fi, Ethernet, input devices and output devices, and as well as storage. It is same like computer. This embedded system contains many processors like GPUs, DSPs, etc. And many IoT devices will use embedded systems like smart watches, digital cameras, and vending machines, and smart appliances. All this will use embedded systems, and these embedded systems will run great operating systems.